Hello, I'm Lucas. This is Strike the Sun MD. I'm doing my 100th, probably, iteration of the Booktube Newbie Tag. I've got the questions over here on my computer, so if you see me looking over, it's because that's where they are, so that I can read them, so I can respond to them. I am embarrassed that I've done this so many times over the years, but I've joined Booktube full-heartedly, I guess half-heartedly, because I ended up quitting and deleting all my videos regularly, 2 or 3 times last year, and I think twice the year before, and again, and again, and again. I've always made videos on YouTube, and then I delete them. Since it came out, since 2006, I have put videos on YouTube, and then deleted them. Because, oh god, no, there's something I don't like about it. And it's just problematic. But I'm really trying to push myself and change my habits this year. And learning to live with small failures. So let's just get started. Number one, why did you start this channel? I love Booktube. I love the community. I want people to talk to about books, and I'm hoping that my videos, should someone come across them, will feel like an open avenue for discussion with, whatever book or poem I'm talking about, or just what's going on in my life, or whatever I'm talking about in that video. I hope that there can be discussion. So, yeah. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I'm trying my best to post 4 videos a week, which is not too strenuous on my schedule, but my schedule is crazy as of late, at least. I'd have to say that the fun and unique things, I don't see a ton of people talking about poetry. There's all kinds of amazing channels on YouTube. Maybe I just haven't penetrated it enough to find people really discussing poetry or reading poetry. I have a weekly series currently, only 2 posted thus far, but it's called Poetry Thursday, and it's named after Poetry Thursday, which my friend used to celebrate. My good friend who watches all my videos, even though I ramble about nonsense, because he's really into spoken word and sort of beat poetry, and it was just something that I thought, I could add that to the table for Booktube. There's not a lot of poetry discussion as far as I'm aware, but there's no reason not to bring it. I thought it'd be fun, so I have that. I live in Shanghai, and I always tell myself I'm gonna make videos. Now that I have this amazing phone, it feels a lot more possible. Like, it feels like a possibility, something I could actually do to add to my YouTube profile, I guess, or portfolio. I don't know, my YouTube videos. So that could be fun. There is this idea I have called Bits of Lit. I've been working on a lot of different skills. I've been trying to learn to program. I've been writing every day, and I started drawing. And it's not just because it's the new year. You can start at any time. I really started thinking about this last November and started putting it into practice, getting myself mentally prepared. I didn't go quite full board right away because I just thought that'll be an easy way for me to, I can't do this. I incrementally pushed myself to start doing this and start doing that. Sorry about the shaky camera. I'm holding the octopus arm tripod thing and not holding it well. Anyway, I have this idea. I've been trying to draw, as I said, and I've been trying to learn Blender, which is this 3D modeling program, and it's insane the things you can do in it. But I want to, like, sort of synthesize a lot of these things so that I can just have a creative outlet of my own. Because I am so much of a consumer, but I don't produce anything besides these videos now, I suppose. Where was I going? I have this idea called Bits of Lit, and I might even change the name of the channel to that, but I really love the Strike the Sun MD because I really love Moby Dick, and that's what it's from. And Bits of Lit would be like from a poem or a short story or novel or some form of writing. Doesn't have to be fiction. That would bring a little bit of literature into some kind of drawn rendering of that scene or the inner psychology of a character, something like what they're thinking about, and I guess I would like do a voiceover of the passage or put the words on the text or something. I'm not exactly sure how I would do it, but I would like to do that. I'm far away from that. I really need to just push myself to draw more, or push my drawing, because I'm very slow about that. And I'm sure it's because the reason I don't make a lot of progress on it, I mean, I know people plateau all the time in different things, but I don't think I push myself enough in that regard. But I would like to get to that. And Blender too, I haven't really spent much time on. Anyway, so Poetry Thursday, I live in Shanghai, so hopefully I can, now that I have this amazing camera, I mean, I have an amazing camera, but I have this amazing phone too, I might feel more inspired to go around and do something now that I'm really pushing myself, but, you know, we'll see. Anyway, that was a long answer. Poetry Thursday, Bits of Lit, hopefully. I live in Shanghai, I could show cool things. I also like to hit the tripod and shake it around so that the video looks disorienting. Number 4, why do you love reading? Reading has fundamentally changed who I am. I didn't really start reading a lot until about 10 years ago when I was in college. And it's like there are emotions that I had or felt or came into at some point in my life that I now feel like I have the words to express. I have the reference point. I can see, I can relate better. I'm trying to say that I can understand the world better in a way, and I can't even express myself, but I don't know how to put exactly what it's done for me, because it's just such a titanic shift in who I am that, like, I don't have words for it really, but I'm a changed person entirely for the better, and it's my favorite thing in the world. It's one of the few things that makes me happy, truly happy, and yeah, I can relate to things better. I have the words to express myself. I learn just so much from reading, and reading about people, reading about events. More so people. I like biographies more than histories. Histories are great, but sometimes they can be kind of dull. It depends on the author. But yeah, that's the best way I can put it. And the main point being that I'm just not even the same person. I mean, people always change throughout their life, but that has been such a great force in my life that, yeah, I love it. What book or series got you into reading? I would have to say it was Harry Potter that got me started reading. I remember my mom buying me the first book, and I was kind of upset because I think I wanted a video game. Or maybe I did want the Harry Potter book. I don't remember, but Then she locked me in her room and told me, "You're gonna read the first chapter," because I was being awful, because I wanted to play video games, probably. Because I used to just play video games. I do still, but sparingly. Because I'd much rather read or do something else, you know. But I remember it took me like an hour to read the first 10 pages. I don't know if that's the first chapter or what, but it something clicked in my head when I read it. I mean, I didn't like it that first time, but it sort of digested in my head overnight, and then the next day I read like the entire book. And yeah, I mean, Harry Potter definitely is the book that got me into it, but I was reading other things, but that's the one that changed everything for me. But I didn't really start reading till I was in college, and at that time when I read Harry Potter, you know, it was like when it was coming out. I was really young. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I would ask them questions related to the videos that I watch. If there's something I have a question about, I will ask. If they respond, amazing. If they don't respond, well, that's okay too. Hopefully someone will say something to answer my question, maybe. I don't have any questions now, but if the need arises to have a question answered, I will kindly ask them when I see something in their video that I want to know more about. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? My personal schedule, it's been crazy lately. I've still been able to get videos up, but it's difficult. I mean, I love doing this. I've enjoyed doing it so far. I even enjoyed it the times that I joined before, but my personal life comes first. I don't want to make this feel like work. I had this great idea for a Star Trek series because I want to start watching all the way through every episode of every Star Trek series, because what I have seen, which is a good chunk of The Next Generation, and I think I've seen all of the original series, but I'm not sure. I've seen most of it for sure, but I want to go through it all and explore the ideas that they're talking about and how some of them can be improved, or what's not good about it, and all this stuff. And I have made a video like that. I deleted it because it was just a rant, and that episode deserved it because it's terrible. But then I made another one, and I was in the process of making it. I was 95% of the way done or so. I mean, I just had very little left to do. And I realized if I do this every week, it eats up a ton of time, for one. I mean, there's the hour alone just to watch Star Trek. Then I gotta I take notes and stuff. It's not so much to make it like a literary analysis kind of thing. Just talk about the things that I like and love. I mean, I've watched channels that did that for Game of Thrones and some other TV shows. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but the way I was doing it and the way I want to do it eats up a ton of time, because there's all this editing and writing that I have to do for it, which is enjoyable. It's just, I don't want it to feel like work, so I have scrapped that for now. I still have a Star Trek series in mind, but it might just be by series. Talk about highlights, some lowlights, and some things that made me think about, or things that I thought were, great, whatever. So I think that will still come, but it's going to be either in batches of episodes or a season synopsis sort of thing of all the good things and all the bad things and what it establishes and what is contradictory and all this other stuff. Anyway, my personal schedule comes first before anything else, so that was a good example of I'd like to have my time and not go crazy trying to work hard on this thing that I don't want to feel like work. I don't mind putting in time to do some things for this because I enjoy it, but as much as I was enjoying making that video the second time, And even the first time, I knew that there's like 700 plus hours of Star Trek. If I do this every week, I will go insane. What? When did you start reading? 3, 4, 5? I don't know. Whenever kids normally start reading. Definitely not before that. I was not some prodigal son or anything like that. But I started reading when other kids start the average age. And when I started reading, like I said, I mean, in school, obviously, they make you read short things. But Harry Potter was the main thing that got me sort of interested, but I didn't really show a ton of passion because I loved video games much more at the time. Until college. And then the shift changed from, video games up here, books down here, to like this. I still love video games, I just don't spend that much time. But I would much rather read a book. Where do you read? I read on the metro here. I read in my bed. I read wherever. I read when I'm walking. I read in this chair that I'm sitting in now. I read anywhere. On the plane, on the train, in the automobile, wherever. What kind of books do you like to read? Last year I read quite a bit of history books, quite a few history books and biographies. Most of them were during the Revolutionary War America, and I really enjoyed that. I'm looking to expand outside of that, and I definitely did. I read about ancient Rome and Ukraine during the Russian Revolution. Not the Russian Revolution, the regime of the USSR, and I forget the name of it, but the the book was called Red Famine, and it's just so bleak. It was so hard to read. It's just the most depressing thing I've ever read in my life. Like, currently I'm reading 1984, and that is a pick-me-up kind of book compared to that. It's the level of suffering and dehumanization in that. It's an incredible book. It's so painful, though. But yeah, I love reading history. I like reading, like, people's diaries and journals and letters and stuff, even though I feel kind of weird about that. It's amazing the things you can learn about someone from that. Biographies are becoming my favorite. They're so personal and so relatable in some ways, if you can relate to the person, or you can, I know someone that has been in that position somewhat, or a position like that. It's amazing. I'm trying to get back into poetry. Like I mentioned before, I do Poetry Thursday, and mostly I read fiction, but I'm balancing that out with nonfiction. But I want there to be a sort of triumvirate, fiction, nonfiction, poetry. I don't know if there's any other sort of genres that I'm not thinking of, but yeah, I'm trying to get to the point where I'm willing to read anything, any genre, and not be such a literary snob like I used to when I really started reading, because I thought, like, the classics are the classics for a reason. And they are classics for a reason, but that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy books that are meant to sell, because that's not inherently a bad thing, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be bad. Probably is not great, but it doesn't have to be bad. Like the Star Wars Expanded Universe book, Tarkin, that I just read. It's by no means heavy literature, but it's good fun. It's a nice character study, and totally enjoyable. I would have never read that 10 years ago, even though I loved Star Wars. Never would have read it. And I read a romance last year. It wasn't too bad. I read some other genres that I don't normally read. But I would say history, biography, those are my budding favorites. And that's all I've got for you. Thank you. Goodbye.